Dhyana-practiser, the Jhana, the subject for it, the destruction, the seeing of the truth, these are no more than discriminations. When this is recognized, there is emancipation. It's very difficult to get enlightened if you're a Buddhist. In fact, it's probably impossible. There are so many things to distract you within Buddhism. There are so many things that you can get involved with in Buddhism. You'll meet many impressive people in the Buddhist world. People that are very intelligent, very sensitive, very good meditators. They might even have some charisma. They might seem happy. And it might not even seem relevant to be concerned with whether they're enlightened or not. But enlightenment is the point of Buddhism. It isn't about being happy. It isn't about being positive. It isn't about being able to focus the mind. It isn't about being nice or engaging socially, doing good deeds. So you might ask, well, what is the point of enlightenment? The point of enlightenment is to aright our relationship with the world. We have a perverse relationship with the world. And you might think, well, why bother doing that? And my answer to that is, well, I'm not going to sell it to you. That's something you need to find out for yourself or see for yourself. Now, one of the things which can get in the way of enlightenment is meditation. You very rarely hear about anybody getting enlightened through meditation. Most commonly, people get enlightened, if we can use that phrase, through hearing a text, through hearing a verse of scripture, like the verses we're reading here from the Lankavatara Sutra. That's how it often happens. Or you might just be going about your ordinary business, and it happens. You very rarely find it happening as a result of meditation. Which is curious, because this word jhana, it means meditation. And in fact, the word Zen itself is derived from this word jhana, meditation. It's also spelt J-H-A-N-A, Jhana. And it's something that the Buddhists have spent a lot of time working on. They've spent a lot of time in trying to attain these jhanas, which are various levels of absorption. There are 4 classic ones, and there are 4 so-called higher ones. And people say, well, this is what the Buddha taught. The Buddha taught jhanas. He taught that we should practice meditation which focuses the mind. In particular, the method par excellence is to focus on the breath, on the breathing. So using this technique, you can achieve jhana, states of absorption. Nothing wrong with doing that. By all means, practice it. It's worth practicing if you want to train your mind. And then you might want to do some yoga as well, because once you realize you have to train your mind, you begin to see how it's related to the state of the body, and you should start working on your body as well. Maybe alter your diet, and maybe there's some other exercises you could do, some Tai Chi maybe. Maybe you could even become a yoga teacher. And so it goes. The thing is, these jhanas are all part of the world, of the mundane experience, of the mundane understanding. It does not matter how successful you are in your meditation practice, this is part of the world. And it is no closer to enlightenment than any other part of the world. This is one of the rationales that is given. If you practice jhana, then you're more ready for enlightenment. There is nothing in the world which makes you ready for enlightenment. It's your attitude to the world which prompts you to enlightenment, which awakens you. Your emotional relationship with the world, which is in essence your enlightenment. So what we've got here is the Dhyana-practiser. This is the meditator, the jhana, the meditation itself, the subject for it, and this is the object of concentration. I mentioned the breathing, but there's a whole list of traditional objects. It could be a coloured disc, for example. The destruction, now this could be the destruction of the object of meditation, or the destruction of the hindrances which prevent you from staying focused. The seeing of the truth. These are no more than discriminations. So what the Lankavatara is telling us here, that the whole practice of meditation is an exercise of the discriminating mind. Because we're assuming that there's somebody here trying to focus on something out there. The breath could be regarded as external in this context. And if it is the destruction of the object, well, what happens when you're practicing this kind of meditative concentration is that the object disappears. You're left with an inner image of it. I remember being on a meditation retreat once, and I was getting very focused in this practice. And at one point I wasn't sure if I was actually focusing on the breath or on an idea of the breath. It's like what I was focusing on was now an imaginary thing. I was focusing on an idea of the breath. And I mentioned this to the meditation teacher afterwards. I said it's like the breath becomes imaginary. And impressively so, he said, that's a good way of putting it. So perhaps this is the truth of the breath, of the meditation exercise. You're not focusing on an object, you're focusing on something imaginary. This is the truth. But all of this belongs in the area of discrimination. If you like to meditate, that's fine, but meditation involves the discriminating mind. You need to decide to focus on one thing as opposed to everything else. And of course everything else makes demands on your attention to various degrees. This is the struggle of meditation. But if we can go beyond this and realize that everything is the nature of the discriminating mind, this is one aspect of the vijnana which I'll go into later on. Realizing this is emancipation, and this is true meditation, and this is Zen. And this is what's pointed out in verse 10. These individual objects are not solid. They rise because of imagination, as the imagination itself is empty. What is imagined is empty. It's empty like a mirage. It has no substance. The reality which we think of as concrete, as real, has no underlying substance. Science tells us it does, but that's just an assumption. There's no more underlying substance than a daydream or a dream. That's what we're pinning all our hopes and desires on, the product of imagination.